So the next thing we are going to make is our spine for the album that holds our pages, the white part here. So what we're going to need is grab that soft cardstock that we use for the spine on the outer cover, and we need to cut it at 3 1/4 inches wide, and then it needs to be 11 inches high, which is the height of our pages in our album. And then just white cardstock. We need 4 pieces, and these are 3/4 inches wide and 11 inches tall. So 3 3/4 by 11, 3 1/4 by 11, and our 4 little white cardstock pieces are 3/4 of an inch by 11. And grab some fabric. I'm using white fabric on the inside of my album for the spine. Let's see here. And we want to measure, it's at least going to be 11 inches long. So I'm going to make a mark there. And we need 2-inch strips. So 2 inches there. It does not have to be exact. 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then also at the top, 2, 4, 2, 8. And then I'm just going to connect these lines together. I like drawing the lines. It just makes it easier for me to cut it. Alright, so we're just going to cut these out real quick. Alright. Now take one of your 3/4 by 11 pieces, and what I want to do is, let's see what the best way to show it. I want to trim the fabric down on both ends because I want to leave a little less than 1/4 of an inch of the paper out beyond the fabric on both sides. So I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that down. If it's a little more than 1/4 of an inch, it doesn't have to be exact. It is going to be covered up. So now I want to take and put glue, but we're not going to put glue on the little 1/4 of an inch on each end. We're going to leave that open. So I'm just going to and center it the best you can onto your piece of fabric. You don't have to, we are going to stitch this also, so you don't have to put a lot of glue. just enough to hold it in place. And that's what we have. And we're just going to keep doing the rest of them. I have all 4 of mine done. Now we're going to get your 3 1/4 by 11 and also grab your ruler, and if you have any pieces of chipboard, like I always have scraps around, it doesn't matter the width. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one, these are our gussets that are going to go on our spine, and then the little flaps are actually what's going to attach our pages to. And what I'm going to do is put glue over the paper and the fabric all the way down, and then I'm going to glue it to our back, and I want the edge of the paper to go all the way to that left hand side on both ends, and that way it'll be glued and you'll have a flap just like that. So make sure your paper goes all the way to the left. So we're going to go ahead and glue the little paper, that part that we didn't glue before. So just squeezing it, and you can tell where your paper is, because we only want it on that area. Alright. Here we go. So I have it all the way to the left. That way if you turn it over, you can tell the difference, that it's right on that edge. Alright, the next ones are going to get a little bit tricky. Let me move these and see if I can come in with my camera some. I can't do it sideways. I have to have it up and down. Okay, so take your ruler and take your flap of fabric here and push it over to one side, and then just put your ruler on it to hold it in place. And I'll show you what I'm going to do before we actually put our glue down. We're going to take our extra chipboard piece, and we're going to put it all the way against that edge there, and then I want this tip of paper to go all the way against this end. I don't know if I move my flap up, including the bottom. So let me see if I can, I'm going to zoom in and we'll just show the top half of it. Alright. So I'm going to take my glue, I'm going to put it in the paper and the fabric, kind of pinching it like this because we only want it where the paper is. Alright. So when I put my chipboard all the way to that edge, and I want the edge of my paper touching that chipboard on both the top and the bottom. So I'm going to press it down and push it towards the chipboard at the same time. There we go. So when we move our chipboard, we have just enough space that our page slides right in there, and then we glue each flap to each side of the page whenever we get to that part. And we're just going to keep doing that until we finish with all 4 of our pieces. So I'm going to hold that down. Well, I'm going to try to. Got too much glue. Come on, Michelle. You can get it. Alright, grab them the next one, fabric side down. Grab our chipboard and push that push the paper all the way against the chipboard piece. Alright, now we have that little space there. I'm going to come back in to do the last one. Alright. This one should work out where it's all the way against the right hand edge of there we go. Now we have an opening there to slide our pages in. So when you flip it over, you see I have a flip here and a flap there. So this is 1, 2, 3 pages, and these are our gussets. Now I like to put coordinating cardstock on these gussets here and then stitch them. You're more than welcome to stitch them while they're white. The paper that I'm going to use is Doodlebug Design Company. I guess it's special delivery that I got from Amazon. And then I'm also going to use a little bit of this Bundle of Joy New Edition from Echo Park. And it's just kind of, I have a bunch of cut up pieces, so I may just add some of that, which I think I'm going to use some of the cut up pieces on the gussets. Let's see. Just trying to pick one out. Sorry, I probably should have done this in advance. I'm going to do this one. Paper cutter. Alright, and you want to do just like a when you're doing a photo mat with the white background, you want to leave just a little bit of the white showing around the outside of it. So ours are 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to cut mine just under 3/4 of an inch wide. And we need 4 of them. Alright, and then I guess I should have done the height first. It would have made it a lot, what was ours, 10.5? 11. So now I'm going to cut each one 11 inches, just under 11 inches. One more. Alright, then we can take these and glue them down. We do not need a lot of glue because we are about to stitch them. I'm just going to double check mine. Yeah. I'm just going to put like one strip down the center. Just to hold it in place while we stitch. Go to the sewing machine. I don't have a camera on my sewing machine, but what we want to do is start at one end as close to the outer edge as possible. Then we're going to go down to the bottom, across, and up that other end. And we're going to do that for all 4 of these gussets. Alright, so I have mine finished stitching each one. And like I said, I use a heavy duty thread because I like it to show, then down, and then up. And we do that on all of our gussets. Now we're going to flip it over and deal with all these little stragglers here. So what you want to do is go ahead and grab you a safety pin. And what you want to do, let me come in really close here so y'all can see it. Well, this one's kind of visible because it caught the loop when it was going through. So we want to pull the thread that's in the front and pull it to the back. And I'll show you again. That one was a little bit different than normal. So when you have your thread on this back side, well, if you can focus, when you give it a little pull, you see that loop right there that it pulls up? You want to grab that, and that's the thread from the front, and you want to pull it to the back. So we need to do that. I know we got threads everywhere. We need to do that for each and every one. Alright, now I have this one here that got caught up in the sewing machine, but I found the loop and I'm just going to pull it through. Come here. Alright, I think I got all of them. There we are. So there's our front. All our stitches have been pulled to the back. So now I'm just going to fold it over. This one's a little bit too long. And you can take any glue. I use a glue stick just to kind of make it a little bit easier. And run it across all those threads and have them stick down. There we are. Now we need to cover up all these threads. So I'm going to grab my white fabric, which is the same fabric that I used here. Let me clean up this. Oh, come on. All right. Find a little spot to use, and we want the, when we move our two flaps, we want the same width as our chipboard piece, which was 3 1/4. Now the ends are going to be folded onto itself, so give yourself, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches on each end. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, can we go this way? No. Cut one piece out. Just an estimate, and then I'll make it smaller. Well, I lost my footage of finishing up the spine, so I have this one that I was working with for another album, so I'm just going to go through it. When you have your back, it has all the stitching on it, so I stopped at cutting out a piece that's the same width as the back, and about 1.5 inches over on each side. So what you want to do is lay out your piece of fabric and put glue all over the back and then attach it. And then on the ends, I'll come in and show you. So this one's already finished, so just ignore that part. What you want to do is take the ends and roll it up. You can put it like a piece of wire or a little toothpick inside of it, as long as it doesn't show out of each side. And you just want to take it and roll it up. This one may have been a little bit too long, but oh, put glue. I'm sorry. You want to put glue all over this piece here so it stays closed. So once you glue it, then roll it up. Like so. And I'll just show this one. What you want to do is put glue on the top edge of the paper piece, and it'll cover up your sewing on both sides, because remember we went down, across, and up, so you have the diagonal stitches. And then you just put glue on that very tip and press it down. And then on the ends, you want to put just a little bit of glue and press that in, just so it gives a nice finished look. And then you have it again for both sides. So I guess roll it up all the way to where your fabric pieces start on both sides. And then you'll have your little flaps that we used to attach it to the cover album. And then that way, since your spine is independent of the back cover, and if you look down, you won't see all of the stitching and so forth that we've done. Alright, I hope that helped explain everything. Tops curled in, and before we attach them to the inside of our spine, which when we attach it, each flap that's onto our ends will attach to each side of the cover. Since this is not going to be glued to the back, they're going to stand independently of each other. We need to cover this part with some fabric, so when you look into the top that you won't see this part here. So grab your blue fabric. Alright, so I'm going to measure. I know that our album is 12 inches tall, but we are just going to cover from where this blue starts and down to this blue. So measure yours, because each one that flapped over might be a little bit different. And I'm going to cut my fabric 10.5 inches wide. And let's see, our spine is 3 1/4, so let's make it 4. So mine is going to be 10.5 by 4. There we are. I'm going to trim this end here where it's like the manufacturer stitch. I'm going to glue this down. Make sure that top part is glue. You can't see because of the ruffles, but when I closed mine, it kind of bubbled up a little bit. So I just want to press the ends and make sure that everything is well adhered. Alright, now our spine is going to go on top of that, and we're going to just put glue on these two outer flaps. If you have a design paper that you put in your gussets, make sure which direction that you want to put yours in. Mine's just a random pattern, so I'm not really worried about it. And we're going to put lots of glue. We definitely don't want the spine to come out. And I know I have it laying down, but I am just putting it on this flap here. Sorry, I have to use two hands to squeeze this thing. Alright, so my little flap, I have enough glue on it, and I'm going to look top to bottom, get it centered inside, and this edge should come and meet directly where this edge of this chipboard is. My spacing on my top and my bottom looks about even. So I'm going to go ahead and put that. Ooh, this sucker's making a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. Let's see. I didn't look at my top good enough. I'm going to, while it's still wet, pull that up so I can cover this white trim a little bit better. There we go. Alright, now we're going to do this flap here. Alright. Now, when we close our album, and you'll be able to see when it is open here, the blue will be covered, the spine on the blue, and then the back of the part that's holding our pages will be covered. And there we go. Alright, so grab your carousel pieces and get your hot glue plugged in. And this is the trim that I put on mine. And that's what, put on my pink one, that's what I'm going to use for this one. I'm going to start with the base. And I want to go around all the corners on both sides. We'll start there. So I'm just going to put down a layer of glue and cover those corners. And go all the way around. Mine, sorry if I went out of camera, mine is a little wide, so I'm just making sure that it covers the entire seam. And cut that part off. I'm sorry, I guess maybe I need to go ahead and zoom out because I keep going out of camera view. Put just a little bit more glue here. Okay, we have that side. Now the other side. Of course, a lot of this is going to be covered up with our flower embellishments. Just a little bit more here. Alright, so with your opening down and your covers, or your corners covered, just going to put a strip here and then put another strip here. And get it started. Glue strings everywhere. Got paint. It's my crafting long sleeve shirt for winter. So I got paint and everything all over it. Same thing for the other side. There we are. Mine came a little unraveled there, but I'm not going to worry about it because it's going to be mostly covered up with flowers. So let's grab our top and we'll start doing our trim. We want to go down every one of our seams where our pieces are put together. Start with this right side. Now when I get to the end here, I'm just going to cut a little bit over, and then we're going to glue and tuck it underneath the bottom. There we are, and we'll just keep doing all of the rest of the seams. Alright, now that we have that part done, let me clean up. Okay, for our little supports, I ended up redoing mine. I showed you before I was using that garland bead from Walmart, and it was just imperfect. I didn't like the way it was turning out. So I bought some more wooden beads from Amazon and painted them, and I will go ahead and put the link to these in the description. That way you'll know exactly what size to get. If you do like the appearance of a different side of bead, we need it to be at least, the bottom's going to go down inside here, so including 1 inch at the bottom, 5-inch total height. So what we need to do first is we need to cut our wooden skewer at the top flush. You can probably break it by hand. You can use some pliers, or I've got these little handy dandy things with the little grooves in it that my husband's toolbox using to cut wire. And just want to, well, they worked so well when he did it. Okay, let's try these. I guess he's a lot stronger than I am. Hey, there we go. So this top is not going to see. I got it as close as I can. There's still a little nub there. I'm going to leave the bottoms, like this one's like way too long, but I'll cut it in a bit. Alright, so I have this We Are memory keepers. It's got the hole punch and then the little fastener thing, and we need to first put your open side down, and I'm going to get all my stuff out of the way first and get a pencil. And we're going to put about where we want these guys to go. Let me try the shorter one. So the first couple of beads are going to be underneath. Let's see. And we're going to have it all the way on the outside. So let's see how we want to do this. So here's the bottom, and it goes like this. So this top side is where we need to punch our holes at. So I'm just taking it and flipping it over one. And we're going to measure from the outer edge 1/2 of an inch. From the outer edge 1/2 of an inch. And centered, and put a mark. Just a good estimate will work. Same thing on this side. We're going to go in 1/2 of an inch and put a mark. About centered, kind of just eyeball where you have one on your other side, or you could just try and make a straight line like so. Either way. Alright, so that should be, and what I'm lining up with is this outer part with this outer part also, to make sure that they're lined up. And I believe that is going to work just fine. So I'm going to take my hole punch, maybe. It ain't going to fit in there, is it? Let's see. There we are. You can, if you have, oh, what do you call these things? I think they're called an auger with this little tip. You can poke a hole through. It's just a little bit easier with this. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so I have my 2-hole punch. So go ahead and take the bottom tip and put it inside, and make sure that you have room where there's not a gap that you can see from here to here. And mine is, that one's just perfect. See, this one, just perfect. And our next ones, we want to end up about, my cat is going crazy, about here. So let's see what we got. About 2.5 inches. Yeah, let's do that. From this hole, we're going to go in 2.5 inches and make a mark. That should put your beads falling right there. And then from this one, 2.5 in. See if they're not too, yeah, that's good. I think that's going to be fine. All right. This hole right here is a little bit too far down. A little bit higher on that one. That looks about straight. Oh, come on. There we go. Now I have mine cut out. I have this one here that's way too long, so I'm going to cut it down to about 1 inch. Alright, let's start with putting them in the bottom piece first. So I'm going to start with putting glue on the bottom of the bead. Push that down until it dries and making sure that I can't see any glue. Here we go. That'll be for that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue where this wooden skewer, so it just always stays in place, hopefully. Alright, so we're going to grab our next one. It didn't quite make it to the bottom, but I guess I cut it a little bit too short. I'll get a little piece of chipboard or something and put that. Once it's attached to the top, it's not going to go anywhere anyway, but little bit too much glue on that one. Now this one's too long. There we go. So if you did end up having any short ones, grab some pieces of chipboard or whatever you could find to stuff in there. I don't think it's going to move once we get it glued. My cat is scratching around being silly. So now we're going to glue the top bead to the underside of the top of the carousel. So I'm just gonna, now I want to make sure that I get it underneath this corner, just like so. I'm going to put quite a bit of glue. I want it to stay in place. And I'm going to hold it there for it to dry. Or harden, or whatever. Now, and I'm making sure that these are lined up with here as much as possible. I'm going to go ahead and go to this end because I want to... Cat, do you mind? Making sure that this is straight. A little bit. Enough. I'm just going to hold it up for a second. I want to make sure I have it straight. There we are. Now I'm going to move to this one. Try and get the glue on that top bead as much as possible. Making sure it's straight up and down. Okay. Well, I got a little crooked on me. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to, so I can make sure it's straight up and down. I'm going to put some more glue in here. Alright, now for my last one, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over. It seemed like it was easier that way. So let's go ahead and get our front cover that we did. Oops, hit my light. Alright, I'm just going to put a little container so this lays flat. And this is what we have. So now we need to attach it to our album, I'm going to use a combination of both the hot glue and fabric glue. So we're going to flip it over. Mine's not moving any, so I'm going to go ahead and skip the part of putting stuff down here because it's in place really good. So I'm going to take my fabric glue. Oh, so I'm sorry, we have to put our paper down first. Let me get that just a second. So I have I'm going to use this side here. And what I'm going to do is going to flip it over. Yours might be different, but I'm going to measure from here to here, across and up back to here. And I tell you my measurement is 3.5. I'll check both sides. This one needs to come in some. Yeah, 3.5, but I need to make sure I glue this going in. My bottom from here to here is about 7 3/4. So that's what I'm going to cut my paper down to. So 3.5. That cannot be right. Is that right? Yeah, it is. 7 3/4. And this one is going to be in your background like so. So I'm going to go ahead and first glue down this piece and then just slide the paper underneath it. So I'm going to go around all of my corners with the fabric glue. And of course it wants to make a mess. Like so. And for it just to adhere faster, I'm going to go ahead and go with hot glue as quickly as I can without making too much of a mess. I'm trying not to get it too much on the outer side of the fabric. Alright, let's flip it over. Check our spacing front to back, left to right. It is centered as possible. and push that down. I think we're good. Alright, let's see how well you could try and slide this in here. Check it. For some reason, one of my corners is longer than the other one. Let's see if I can just pull it up a little so my paper will go underneath it. I'm going to cut mine down. I've got just a little bit overhang than I prefer. So I'm just going to trim that down a little bit. Sorry, I gotta look at it straight to see how it's. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and put some glue on the back of here. Oh, come on. Okay, we're using fabric glue. All my glue is just about empty. Excuse me, I need to see the bottom here. There we go. This gap down here, we're going to cover it up with our trim. We are going to take it, and did I do that on my other one? Let me check, I can't remember. We're going to put down here and then back across that gap and then back up here. And look, mine's starting to come up right there. So I'm going to glue it back down, and we're also going to put trim. Alright. start right on the edge of the paper and go all the way down. Try it like this, maybe it'll be a little bit easier. And then I'm going to start trying to run it back behind on the bottom. Let's see if we can go this way. What we have now. I'm going to take your little pom-pom and say it just, let me say how big these are. I can't remember. I think I picked them up. Yeah, picked them up at Walmart's. And we're going to put some glue and then it's going to go on the top here. I'm just going to hold that in place for a bit and let that dry. And then we'll start moving on to our next steps.